uh, continuous mm, continuous of existing laws and municipality, not studying anything in this part. Any provision of any law relating to municipalities imposed in a state immediately before the commencement of the Constitution. 74th Amendment Act 92, which is inconsistent with the provision of this part, shall continue to be forced until amended or repealed by competent legislature or other competent authority or until the expiration or
Expiration.
expiration 1 year such commencement whichever is early, provided that all the municipalities existing immediately before such commencement shall continue till the expiration of the duration, unless sooner dissolved by resolution passed to the effect by the legislature assembly of the state or the in the case of state having a legislature council by each house of the legislature of the state. Okay. Bar to interference by courts in electoral matters, notwithstanding anything in this constitution. Mm, Clause A. The validity of any law relating to the delimitation of constituencies or the allotment of seats to such constituencies made or purporting to be made under Article 243 ZA shall not be called in question in any court. B. No election to any municipality shall be called in question except by election petition presented to such authority and in such manner as provided by or under any law made by the legislature of state. बेसिकली कोर्ट में क्वेश्चन ही नहीं कर सकते एक बार डिलिमिटेशन और इसको. Okay, that is something. ZG से ZA. अगर रुको यहाँ पर जाते हैं. The superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of electors for and the conduct of election of the municipality shall be vested in the state election commission. Okay. Article 243 ZH definition in this part unless the context otherwise requires clause A authorized person means a person referred to as article 243 ZQ. आगे है क्या? Okay. Okay, I don't see any definition here. I had enough, man. Board means the boards of director or the governing body of cooperative society by which or whatever name called to which the direction and control of the management of the affairs in a society is interested to. C. Cooperative society means a society registered or deemed to be registered under any law relating to the cooperative society for the time being in force in any state. I will reduce little bit of intensity. My eyes are in pain. Wait, I will check how this looks in the screen. If it is not looking clear, then what is even fucking use of it? Hello, hello, hello. अ, थोड़ा साइज को बढ़ा देता हूँ। हम्म। हाँ, अब ठीक लग रहा है। चलो अब ठीक लग रहा है मेरे हिसाब से तो। हाँ, यहाँ पर भी ठीक लग रहा है मोबाइल पे। Board means the board of director or the governing body of a cooperative society by whatever name called, to which the direction and control of the management of the affairs of a society is interest interested to. Okay. Cooperative society. Cooperative society means a society registered or deemed to be registered under any law relating to cooperative society for the time being force of in force in any state. A multi-state cooperative society with objects not confined to one state and registered or deemed to be registered under any law for the time being in force to relating to such cooperatives. Ob- Wait a minute, like my voice is getting cut or what? Let me see it, man. No, 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 it's not getting cut, man. Thankfully. Multi-state cooperative society means a society with objects not confined to one state, and register are deemed to be registered under any law for the time being enforced relating to such cooperatives. Okay. Uh, Subclause E or office bearer means a president, vice president, chairperson, vice person, uh, vice chairperson, secretary or treasurer of cooperative society, and includes any other person to be elected by the board of cooperative society. Yep, register means the central register appointed by the central government in relation to multi-state cooperative societies, and the register for cooperative society appointed by the state government under the law made by the legislature of state in relation to cooperative societies. G. State acts makes any law made by the legislature of state. I mean, is this fucking comedy or what? A state level cooperative society means cooperative society having its area of operation extending to whole of a state defined as such in any law made by the legislature of a state. Okay. Did I read it before or I am fucking reading it once again? Article 243 ZI. Incorporation of cooperative society. Subject to the provision of this part, the legislature of state may by law make provision with respect to the incorporation, regulation and winding of cooperative societies based on the principles of voluntary formation, democratic member control, member economic participation and autonomous functioning. Okay. Article 243 ZH. Number of the terms of members of board in its office bearers. The board shall consist of such numbers of directors as may be provided by the legislature of the state by law, provided that maximum number of directors of cooperative society shall not exceed 21. Okay. Provided further that the legislature of state shall by law provided provide for the reservation of one seat for the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribes and two seats for women on board of every cooperative society consisting of individuals as members and having members from such class of category of person. That clause 2. The term of office elected members of the board and its office bearer shall be 5 years from the date of election, and the term of office bearer shall be conterminous with the minus contemporaneous with the term board. First I am encountering this word.
Conterminous.
Conterminous. Okay. Provided that the board may be fill casual vacancy on the board by nomination out of the same class of members in respect with which the casual vacancy has arisen, if the term of office of the board is less than half of its original term. The legislature. Oh man, like you know, the Constitution of USA is like just 14 to 15 pages long compared to ours, which are just useless laws A to Z, that two times. Useless articles. Like fuck this thing, man. Like I don't like this. Provided the legislature of a state by law make provision for co-option of person to be members of the board having experience in the field of banking, management, finance, or specialization in any other field relating to the objects and activities undertaken by the cooperative society as member of the boards of such society. गांड धोना भी कैसे सिखा देते वही, यहाँ पर ही क्यों रुक गए? गांड भी धोना कैसे वो भी बता देते हैं. Provided that the number of such co-opted members shall not exist two in addition to 21 directors specified in the first provision to clause 1. Uh, Provided further that such co-opted members shall not have the right to vote in any election of the cooperative society in their capacity as such member or to be eligible to be elected as office bearers of the board. Provided also that functional directors of cooperative societies also be the members of the board, and such members shall be excluded for purpose of counting the total number of directors specified in the first provision to clause. Hmm. Hmm. Article 243 ZK Election of members of board. Clause 1. Notwithstanding anything contained in any law made by the legislature of state, the election of board shall be conducted before the expiry of the term of the board so as to ensure that newly elected members of the board assume office immediately on the expiry of the office of members of outgoing board. Clause 2. The superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of electoral rolls for and the conduct of all election to a cooperative society shall vest in such authority or body as may be provided by the legislature of a state by law. Okay. Provided that legislature of a state may by law provide for the procedure and guidelines for the conduct of such elections. Article 243 ZL. Supersession and suspension of board and interim management. So basically, how much shit has, how many articles are written for the election of panchayats and the municipalities? notwithstanding anything contained in any law for the time being in force, no board shall be superseded or kept under suspension for period exceeding 6 months, provided that may be superseded or kept under suspension in case of its persistent default or second of negligence in the performance of its duties, or third the board has committed any act of prejudicial to the interests of the cooperative society or its member, or four there is a stalemate in the constitution or function of the board, or fifth the authority or body provided by the legislature of state by law under clause 2 of article 243 ZK has failed to conduct election in accordance with provision of the state act. Hmm, really? Provided further that the board of any such cooperative society shall not be superseded or kept under suspension when there is no government shareholding or loan or financial assistance or any guarantee by the government. Oh yeah, the government absolutely has nothing to do with the board, cannot be superseded by the government. Okay. I mean, like, that is such a law, provided that provided also in the case of cooperative society carrying on the business of banking, the provision of the Banking Regulation Act 1949 10 of 1940 shall also apply. Okay. Provided also that in case of cooperative society other than a multi-state cooperative society carrying on the business of banking, the provision of this clause shall have effect as if for the word 6 month, the words 1 year had been substituted. Okay. Second, clause 2. In case of supersession of board, the administration appointed to manage the affair of such cooperative society shall arrange for conduct of election within the period of specified in the clause 1 and hand over management into the elected board. अबे सुपर सेशन क्या होता है भाई, जरा देखो. ओके, बेसिकली आई थिंक न्यू मैनेजमेंट को बिठाना वहाँ पर.
Supersession.
ओके, सो बेसिकली नए लोग डालना वहाँ पर, सुपर सीड कर देना एक चीज. ओके. Clause 3. The legislature of a state may by law make provision for the conduct condition of service of the administrator. Mhm. Here it is getting boring, man. Article 243 ZM audits of accounts of cooperative societies. The legislature of state may by law make provision with the respect to maintenance of accounts by the cooperative society and the auditing of such account at least once in each financial year. The legislature of state shall by law lay down the minimum qualification and experience of auditors and auditing firms that shall be eligible for auditing accounts of the cooperative societies. Okay. 3. Every cooperative society shall cause to be audited by an auditor or auditing firms referred to in clause 2 appointed by the general body of the cooperative society. Provided that such auditors or auditing firms shall be appointed from panel approved by the state government or an authority authorized by the state government in this way. 4. The accounts of every cooperative society shall be audited within 6 months of the close of the financial year which such accounts relate. Fifth, the audit report of the accounts of Apex Cooperative Society as may be defined by the state act shall be laid before the state legislature in the manner as may be provided by the state legislature by law. Article 243 ZN convening of general body meeting. The legislature of a state may by law make provision that annual general body meeting of every cooperative society shall be convened within a period of 6 months close of the financial year to transact the business as may be provided in such law. Okay. Article 243 ZO right of member to get information. Clause 1. The legislature of a state may by law provide for access to every member of cooperative society to the books, information and accounts of the cooperative society kept in regular transaction of its business with such member. Clause 2. The legislature of a state may by law make provision to ensure the participating in the management of the cooperative society, providing minimum requirement of attending meeting by the member and utilizing the minimum level of services as may be provided in such law. 3. Clause 3. The legislature of state may by law provide for cooperative education and training for its members. Article 243 ZP returns. Every cooperative society shall file returns within 6 months of the close of every financial year to the authority designated by the state government, including the following matters, namely annual report of activities, its audited statement of accounts, plan for surplus disposal as approved by the general body of the cooperative society. D. List of amendment to the bylaws of the cooperative society of any. E. Declaration of regarding the date of holding of its general body meeting and conduct of election when due. F. Any other information required by the registrar in pursuance of any of the provisions of the State Act. Okay. Article 243 ZQ offenses and penalties. The legislature of a state may by law make provisions for the offenses relating to the cooperative society and penalties for such offenses. Okay. 2. A law made by the state under a law made by the legislature of a state under clause 1 shall include the commission of the following act or omission as offenses, namely a cooperative society or officer or member thereupon willfully makes a false return of or furnishes false information, or any person willfully not furnishes any information required by from him by a person authorized in this way of under the provision of state act. B. Clause B. Any person willfully or without any reasonable excuse disobeys any summons, requisition or lawful written order issued under the provision of the state act. C. An employer who without sufficient cause failed to pay to cooperative society amount deducted by him from its employee within a period of 14 days from the date on which such deduction is made. Any officer or custodian who willfully fails to hand over custody of books, account, document, records, cash, security, and other property belonging to cooperative society of which he is an officer or custodian to an authorized person, and whoever before, during, or after the election of members of the board of office bearers adopts any corrupt practice. Okay, so basically, if the punishment will be decided by the state law, and these are the acts which are punishable. An employer who, without sufficient cause, fails to pay to a cooperative society amount deducted by him from its employee. Okay, okay. Article 243 ZR, application to multi-state cooperative societies. The the state shall apply to the multi-state cooperative societies, subject to the modification that any reference to the legislature of a state act, or state government shall be constructed as reference to parliament, central act, or the central government respectively. Okay. Application to union territories. So basically, what will happen is there is what was applied to the state will apply to the central government, and it will come under the central government for multi-state corporations or cooperative societies, I guess. Yeah, cooperative society, not corporations. Article 243 ZS, application to union territories. The provision of this part shall apply to the union territories and shall, in their application to union territory having no legislative assemblies, as if the reference to the legislature of a state were reference to the administrator thereupon appointed under Article 239 in relation to union territory having a legislative assembly to that legislative assembly. Provided the president may by notification in that official gazette direct that provision of this part shall not apply to any union territory or part thereof as he may specify in the notification. The president is nothing but a pawn of the ruling party, so I don't know what is impossible. So I think yeah, just roles given to him which are largely useless. It's not like he can act in little bit of an independence way beside the party, notwithstanding anything in this part, any provision of any law relating to cooperative society enforced in a state immediately before the commencement of this constitution, 97th Amendment Act 2011, which is inconsistent with the provision of this part, shall continue to be enforced until amendment or repealed by the competent legislature or the other competent authority, or until the expiration of 1 year from such commencement, whichever is lesser. Article 244. हो गया भाई, हो गए. Oh man. Okay, we are gonna move forward with articles. This ABCD thing has over. Thankfully, it is done with. We are done with that kind of things. Part 6, the schedule and tribal areas. Article 244, administration of schedule areas and tribal areas. The provision of the fifth schedule shall apply to the administration and control of the scheduled areas and the scheduled tribes in any state other than state of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. So what is the fifth schedule, man? Let's check it. I wanna check the fifth schedule. Okay, it grants special rights to the state, I guess. Can I make it little bit of bigger? Oh, okay. Seems like they had a upgrade. Oh man. Okay, now we can see it, and even I can also see it now. The fifth schedule of the Constitution of India grants special powers to the state governors to provide autonomy to scheduled tribes, thereby limiting the effect of acts of the central and state legislature on the scheduled areas. Okay. Second, the provision of the sixth schedule shall apply to the administration of the tribal area in the state of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. मणिपुर क्यों जल रहा है पता नहीं यार हाँ. The sixth schedule of the to the Constitution India provide measure of autonomy and self-government to the scheduled tribes in the real region of Northeast India. Okay. ओके ओके मणिपुर क्यों जल रहा है मे बी तुम्हें एक पूरे एक डोमिनेंट कम्युनिटी को एसटी कैटेगरी में नहीं डालना चाहिए था मणिपुर इसलिए जल रहा है शायद जो लोग पहले ही मार्जिनाइज थे उनके खिलाफ एक डोमिनेंट कम्युनिटी को तुम इस तरह से डालोगे तो यही होगा ना Article 244A Formation of autonomous state comprising certain tribal areas in Assam and creation of local legislature or council of ministers or both therefore. Notwithstanding in this constitution, Parliament may by law from within the state of Assam, an autonomous state comprising whether or in part all or any of the tribal areas specified in part 1 of the table in the appended to paragraph 20 of the sixth schedule and create therefore subclause A, a body whether elected or partly nominated and partly elected to function as a legislature for the autonomous state, or B, a council of ministers, or both with such constitution powers and function in each case as may be specified in the law. To any such law is referred to in clause 1 may in particular. A. A. Subclause A. Specify matters enumerated in the state list or the concurrent list with the respect to which the legislature of the autonomous state shall have power to make laws for the whole or any part thereof, whether to the exclusion of the legislature of the state of Assam or otherwise. B. Define the matter with respect to which the executive power of the autonomous state shall extend. C. Provide that any tax levied by the state of Assam shall be assigned to the autonomous state in so far as the proceeds thereof are attributable to the autonomous state. D. Provide that any reference to a state in any article of this constitution shall be construed as including a reference to the autonomous state, and we make such supplemental, incidental, and consequential provisions as may deem necessary. Okay. 3. Clause 3. An amendment of any such law as a proceed insofar as amendment relates to any of the matters specified in the subclause A or subclause B of clause 2 shall have no effect unless the amendment is passed in each house of parliament by not less than two-thirds of members present and voting. Okay, so basically बाहरी मेजॉरिटी होनी चाहिए जो कि अभी बीजेपी की भी नहीं है. Clause for any such law as referred in the article shall not be deemed to be an amendment of this constitution for the purpose of Article 368, notwithstanding that it contains any provision which amends or has the effect of amending this constitution. Okay. Okay, this is little bit of complex in a way that it says that if this article is amendment, it will not be deemed as amendment. But if it deems to amend the constitution, then it will not withstand it. So it is like little bit of like you cannot amend the constitution, but you can amend this article. But it comes up as amending a constitution, then it will not withstand this article. Okay. Okay. Part 11. Thankfully God. Yeah, 11. Relation between a union and the state. Chapter 1. Legislative relations. Distribution of legislative powers. लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स यानी कि जो लॉ बनाने के पावर होते हैं वो ही ना. हाँ, लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स यानी कि पार्लियामेंट और लोकसभा विधानसभा की पावर्स. आर्टिकल 245 extents of law made by parliament and by legislature of states. Subject to the provision of this constitution, parliament make laws for the whole or any part of the territory of India, and the legislature of a state may make laws for the whole or any part of the state. Okay. Clause 2. No law made by parliament shall be deemed to be invalid on the ground that it would have extraterritorial operation. Uh, Maybe it is, like law made for, if India takes part of another countries or something like that, even then their laws will be considered constitutional, I guess. Okay, wait. Extraterritoriality or I'm not gonna pronounce is a term of doctrine used in law, particularly international law, to denote the circumstance of either being exempt from foreign law or the application of foreign laws against an entity otherwise outside of its jurisdiction. In the case of former, it is usually as the result of diplomatic negotiation, while the latter concern the notion of hard power. case of the format issue as the code of the I am unable to understand it, man. Like, sorry. Wait, I will fucking Google shit it all. Okay, okay, that is pretty much means what I said. Yeah, the Indian courts cannot declare a law unlawful because it applies outside or the effect, is outside India. The Indian courts cannot do that. Subject Article 246. Subject matter of laws made by Parliament and by the legislature of state. Notwithstanding anything, clause 2 and 3, Parliament has exclusive power to make laws with respect to any of the matters enumerated in List 1 in the 7th schedule in this constitution, referred to as the Union List. Uh, Clause 2, notwithstanding anything, Clause 3, Parliament and subject to Clause 1, the legislature of state also have power to make laws with respect to any of the matters enumerated in List 7, 3 or in the 7th schedule in this constitution, referred to as the concurrent list. Clause 3, subject to clauses 1 and 2, the legislature of a state has exclusive power to make laws for such state or any part thereof with respect to any of the matters enumerated in list 2 in the 7th schedule in this constitution, referred to as the state list. सेवेंथ शेड्यूल कहाँ है भाई? आर्टिकल 2.36 है. Yeah, okay, it is coming, it is coming. Okay, okay. Union list, state list, concurrent list means though both can make laws here. Okay. State list means only state can make law, and union list means only the center can make law there, and like army, foreign policy, defense, that kind of things, which is okay. But what if the army is deployed in one state and the army is causing problems in that state for that people? Yeah, this pretty much makes it extremely weak, subject to and the state cannot interfere in local state cannot interfere with the army. The army has no accountability to the state they are in, as they are registered by the administrator by the union. Okay, this law clearly has problems. Respect to the constitution has state list. Parliament has power to. Wait a minute. I have a call. Notwithstanding in. Okay, ये तो हो गया भाई. Subject to clauses 1 and 2, the legislature of any state has exclusive power to make laws for such state or any part thereof with respect to any of matter enumerated in list again in the 7th schedule in this constitution referred to as state list. Parliament has power to make any laws, make laws with respect to any matter for any part of the territory of India not included in a state, notwithstanding that such matter is matter enumerated in state list. Okay. So basically, Parliament can't make the laws of state police, which is okay. ओके जरा सेवन शेड्यूल को जरा ठीक से पढ़े. सेवन शेड्यूल को जरा ठीक से देखना पड़ेगा. अरे ये क्या हो गया. Okay, now it is coming, but I am unable to read it. The Constitution Union list. Oh man. अरे यार ये तो प्रॉब्लम ही आ गई. Oh fuck, it was. हो गया, आ रहा है भाई अब. डू 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 डू. I'm gonna off the camera for some time. ये यूनियन की लिस्ट है और इसमें व्हाट कैन द सेंटर डू. राज्यांना ज्याचा अधिकार नाही, फक्त सेंटरमध्ये केंद्र सरकारला अधिकार आहे त्याची लिस्ट आहे. डिफेन्स, नेव्हल, मिलिटरी, डिप्लॉयमेंट ऑफ armed forces, delimitation containment areas, local state government in such areas. Atomic energy, mineral resources, foreign affairs, diplomatic, consular, United Nations or organization, participation in international conferences, citizenship, naturalization, and aliens. Really? Yeah, aliens means, the things we don't know which are foreign to us, so that we can understand. Extradition, pilgrimages, places out of piracy, and crimes committed on the high seas. Railways, बेसिकली भारताचं राज्य रेल्वे ते बांधू शकत नाहीत, हायवे बांधू शकत नाहीत. शिपिंग, नॅव्हिगेशन, लाईट हाऊस, पोर्ट बांधू शकत नाहीत. एअरवे, एअरपोर्ट बी बांधू शकणार नाहीत माझ्या हिशोबाने तर. रिझर्व्ह बँक ऑफ इंडिया फॉरेन. स्टेट लिस्ट. ह्यामध्ये फक्त राज्य सरकार हे येणार. पब्लिक ऑर्डर, नेव्हल, मिलिटरी. Okay, police including railway lay subject, officer and servants of high court, prison, reformatories, postal, local government, and the public health, sanitation, hospitals, dispensaries, pilgrimages, in stock, intoxicating liquors, that is burials, education including. So basically, this was removed in 1997. Okay, the state's ability to make universities, library, museums, agriculture, including agriculture research, protection against pest and prevention of plant diseases. Do. Uh, works lead state in the profession. Ah, okay. या आई थिंक ये जीएसटी के आने के वजह से ये टैक्सेस निकल गए जो स्टेट लगाता था. नाउ देर इज ओनली वन टैक्स एंड the state's ability has reduced, I guess. Weights and measures except establishment of standards. Okay, man, okay. Concurrent list जिसमें दोनों भी बना सकते हैं स्टेट और यूनियन. Archaeological site, electricity, factories, charity, charitable institution. Okay. चलो भाई ठीक है. Employment, welfare of labor, including condition of education, newspaper, electricity, concurrent list. ओए ओके. अच्छी बात है भाई, अच्छी बात है. Article 246A, special provision with respect to goods and service tax, notwithstanding anything contained in Article 246 and 254, Parliament and subject to clause 2, the legislature of every state have power to make laws with respect to goods and services tax imposed by the union or by such tax. 2. Clause 2. Parliament has exclusive power to make laws with respect to goods and service tax where the supply of goods or of services or both takes place in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Okay. Explanation. The provisions of this article shall in respect of goods and service tax refers to in clause 5 of article 279A take effect from the data recommended by Goods and Service Tax Council. Yeah, GST. The state's ability to levy taxes has completely gone away and it is बेसिकली सारी पावर सेंटर को चली जा चुकी है. अब इंडियन राज्य सरकारें अब टैक्स नहीं लगा सकती. आर्टिकल 247. ओके ओके, अभी एक लास्ट पेज में रीड करूंगा और उसके बाद मैं रुकने वाला हूँ. 247. Power of Parliament to provide for the establishment of certain additional courts, notwithstanding anything in chapter. Parliament by law provide the establishment of any additional courts for the better administration of laws made by the Parliament or of any existing law with respect to matter enumerated in Indian list. Okay. Article 248. Residuary powers of legislation. Clause 1. Subject to Article 246A, Parliament has exclusive power to make any law with respect to any matter not enumerated in the concurrent list or state list. Okay. Yeah, obviously. Clause 2. No Such power shall include the power of making law, imposing a tax not mentioned in either of those lists. Okay. Article 249. Power of Parliament to legislate with respect to a matter in the state list in the national interest. Okay. नेशनल इंटरेस्ट के नाम पे तो भाई आजकल बहुत कुछ ये हो रहा है. India's national interest is, against the national interest, the interest of the people living inside India. So India's national interest and Indians' interest generally nowadays is opposite. India's national interest has become the national interest of Ambani. बेसिकली जो नेशनल इंटरेस्ट है वो हमारे इंटरेस्ट के खिलाफ जा रहा है आजकल. Clause 1, notwithstanding anything in the foregoing provision of this chapter, if the Council of State has declared by resolution supported by not less than two-thirds of members present and voting that it is necessary or expedient in the national interest that Parliament should make the laws with respect to goods and services tax provided under the Article 246A or any matter enumerated in taste list specified in the resolution, it shall be lawful for Parliament to make laws for the whole or any part of the territory of India with respect to the matter while resolution remains in force. Clause 2. A resolution passed under Clause 1 shall remain in force for such period not existing 1 year as may be specified therein, provided that if and so often as a resolution approving the continuance in force of any such resolution is passed in the manner provided in clause 1, such resolution shall continue in force for further period of 1 year from the date on which under this clause it would otherwise have ceased to be in force. Clause 3. A law made by Parliament, which Parliament would not, but for the passing of resolution under Clause 1, have been competent to make, shall, to the extent of the incompetency, cease to have effect on the expiration of period of 6 months after the resolution has ceased to be in force, except as respect things done or omitted to be done before the expiration of their period. Oh man, like this law is confusing. A law made by Parliament which Parliament would not, but for the passing of region. Okay, wait. Okay, okay, okay. So the Parliament can make laws that can, go on for 6 months without the approval of Rajya Sabha, I guess. Okay, I think today's reading is complete here. We will start from your next reading. Article 250. 44% of the constitution has been read, and the readings will be longer from here now. But today I am ending here.